Thank you, Len. The first order of business over here is that Holly Schepisi, the state legislator, will make a presentation to Mr. Laganella.
Welcome. And before I make the presentation, just real briefly, watching the video, as a mom of a 10-year-old and an 18-year-old, I can say from personal experience how important our community libraries are. I can't tell you, it was the first place my son learned how to play an instrument. It's where my daughter spent all of her days doing Girl Scout projects, Boy Scout projects for my son. And so for anybody in the room who is so inclined, please reach out to Len and help fulfill this project, because our communities really need them. And as we know, the state of New Jersey can only provide so much. But I'm also here today for my friends, the Laganella family, and on behalf of the Senate and the General Assembly, I have a joint legislative resolution. It's pretty long, so I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll read a couple of little points. Whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey are pleased to honor the memory of the late Nicholas A. Laganella Sr., a dearly missed member of his Garden State community, whose extraordinary life will be celebrated during the dedication of the Nicholas A. Laganella Sr. Children's Imagination Library on December 13, 2021. This auspicious occasion will forever commemorate Nicholas A. Laganella Sr.'s remarkable legacy of accomplishment on behalf of our nation and our state. He served this country with honor and valor in the United States Army during World War II, including participation in the Normandy invasion, liberation of France, where he was wounded, and shared his considerable insight as a staff sergeant. As you heard, when he returned home, he embarked on a superb career in construction, doing such things as helping with the initial construction of Interstate 78, 80, 287, all of the roads we travel every single day. But most importantly, it was his philanthropic spirit. And he gave of himself as an active Rotarian for more than 40 years, his efforts as president, opening his home to children with congenital heart defects from around the world through the Rotary's Gift of Life program, constructing the facility for the Paramus Boys Club, telemedical communication systems overseas, purchasing neonatal oscillator ventilators, and his history of philanthropic work earned him a place in the Congressional Record of 2000. But most importantly, in addition to having the Purple Heart, Combat Infantry badges, humanitarian aid awards, he took great pride in his children, Wendy, Susan, Kathy, Lisa, and Nicholas II, and special delight in his grandchildren, Kellen, Nicholas III, Alicia, Christine, Samantha, Austin, and McKenna. So it is more than fitting and proper for the members of this legislature to pause in their deliberations to celebrate the life of Nicholas A. Laganella Sr., as well as this new Children's Imagination Library, and to recall him as a man of strong character and uncommon determination. So on behalf of the state of New Jersey, to the Laganella family, and to the library, thank you.
Oh, there it is.
I've always said there are three kinds of people in this world: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that say what happened. The Laganella family has demonstrated time and time again that they make things happen. They've changed the landscape with their developments. They've changed lives through Rotary, and they're again changing lives today through their generosity and their donation to this beautiful library. You know, if you want to look to the future and you want to talk about a legacy, you gotta go back to the beginning. And the beginning is children. They're our greatest asset. And when we get them young, we have the ability to mold them. I myself, class of 1971, library school. Mrs. Brown. And for all you old timers, Yes, that's me again, I'll knock you down. We love Mrs. Brown, it was crisscross applesauce, I think, with the legs. I obviously did not graduate top of the class, but if you want to change the future, you gotta go back to the beginning. And that's with the impression that we can leave upon children. And what better place to start than the Paramus Public Library? Again, another mainstay in our community. And for all the old timers, the addition's actually going in the old driveway. That's where we used to come in, correct? So we look forward to this addition and all the lives that, again, the Laganella family will continue to change. And I'd like to ask everybody who's with us here today to join me in a round of applause for Nick Sr., obviously, but also for his son, his family, that keeps the name going and continues to be generous and give back to the community that has been so good to them. And we thank you for all that you do, and we look forward to this great addition. With the name, Nick Laganella Sr. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor LaBarbiera. Now we will have the presentation of the check. Mr. Laganella. Joanne, I guess?
With this check in my father's honor, to assist in the construction of the library.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I just wanted to say that, when I got approached a year or so ago in the middle of the pandemic about this situation, I, felt, strongly about, for my father and in his honor. And it was actually Madeline who was the one who kind of pushed it in my direction. To be honest with you. And with a little assistance from Pete too. But my dad, there was so much was said about my father with the proclamation and all this. The only thing that they did miss is how he actually got to Paramus. I thought I'd tell that story briefly. I guess it was around 1946, as you heard, he came back from the war, and they were living in Patterson. They bore a child, had twins, and a few years later, my Jewish mother, Anita, said to my father, that we need to get out of Patterson. It was populous. It was getting very populous, let's just say. And so they moved to Maywood at that time. And my mother's Uncle Max knew this farmer over here, a celery farmer, and brought him to the celery farmer. And that's when we bought some of the land that's now known as Paramus Park, and where the Home Depot is. They bought a lot of land when it was all celery farms. And then we moved to Wyckoff, where Charlie Reed, the then mayor of Paramus, built my father's house. My father became a Rotarian, was a Rotarian from the president of the Rotary Club in 1963 until the day he passed in 2004. He insisted that I become a Rotarian, and I did. And I've been a member of the Paramus Rotary Club for 33 years now. The scholarship funds that he established still give out charity donations, scholarships to Paramus High School, seniors, and others have also contributed to AML and others. But it was those initial donations way back when that really got the ball rolling, and they were significant. And it continues to do that. I'm now the president of the Paramus Rotary Club Foundation, chairman. So that's how we got to Paramus. It was my Uncle Max. And so I'm just so honored that for my father, I'm really touched by the proclamation that was drafted from this legislature, and we'll continue to be here for generations to come. My son, Nicholas III, my daughter, Christine, they'll all be here for everyone. And I thank you all.
Thank you.